Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
The Ramble, and we go from now until midnight Eastern Daylight Time. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Larry Bubbles Brown. How's that for an introduction? Yes. Was that a big introduction?
The unemployed Larry Bubbles Brown.
Now here's the problem with Larry. Well, there are a lot of problems with Larry, but here's the big problem with Larry. He's a comedian. And there aren't any theaters open. There aren't any venues open. Why? Because obviously they're indoors, and you have to be in close proximity to somebody else. So the theaters aren't open. Now, have you done anything like some people are doing? Like, was it you that I talked to? Who did I talk to that was doing a thing in a drive-in comedy show?
I know some comics that have done those. Those actually. I've heard those kind of work. The Zoom shows do not apparently work very well.
No, the Zoom's not a good idea.
But drive-ins, I guess when people like a joke, they honk their horns and turn the lights on.
Yeah. But who did I talk to did that? I think maybe it was Pearl.
I think he was doing one, yeah.
Yeah, so he did one. People are finding ways to do it, but I mean, the comedy clubs, they're not going to open for another year. Let's face it. This thing is just getting worse, not better.
Yeah, Rob Schneider told me he just canceled his gigs for the next year because he figures it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, and if it does happen, then you can rebook them. Yeah. But, I mean, it's terrible out there. I mean, but here's my question. Comedians need to work for one very important reason, to keep their skills up.
Right.
To keep their chops up, to keep their timing up, and to create new material. You can't do any of those things, right? What do? Get in front of the mirror or something?
That's what some comics are doing. I did a gig outdoors in San Rafael a couple weeks ago, and it actually kind of worked, but nobody had done a set in 3 months, so everybody was rusty and trying to remember the material and everything, so it is a problem, yeah.
Do you have trouble remembering material if you haven't done it for a while?
I always had trouble remembering material because most of my bits are so short.
But isn't that amazing? Because you have such an incredible memory when it comes to certain things.
I have a memory for dates, but I never remember names. I can't remember my material. I always had trouble with the material.
Really?
Maybe because I'm not comfortable on stage. I don't know, but it's just if I don't think well on stage.
Well, here, why don't you take one of your best lines, okay, and do it here, and let's see if the timing's still there.
Someone stole my identity. Now his life sucks.
Okay, it's still
Rushed
there.
It a little, but
it's still there. But I heard that on the Letterman show 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's still one of your best lines, however.
Yeah. It still works,
yeah.
After all these years.
Yeah. Has your identity ever been stolen?
No, I worry about that, but it hasn't so far.
Yeah.
Have you?
Has anybody ever tried to? Not really. I think I had some kind of an incident where we had to change somebody was using a credit card number. And a lot of times when they use credit card numbers, it's not you that they're going after. They don't know who they're going after. They just found a random card number. Mm-hmm. And so they use that card number. But I remember having to change my cards on an occasion because it was misused. I know the one that happened. I suddenly got a bill for, I don't know, it was only about $75 or something, from some company in Hong Kong or Shanghai, I can't remember which, and it was like a gaming site that somebody had used my card or used my PayPal account. That was it. So I got a hold of PayPal. First of all, I got a hold of these people who own the company who the card was used for and told them about it. And then I got a hold of PayPal, and I said, I'm disputing this. And they went into an investigation, and they agreed that I had not made that. So we changed my password, I think is what we did on PayPal, and that made it impossible. But that's the only time I ever remember it truly identity being stolen on some level.
Yeah, that would be. I wouldn't want to go through that. I got a residual check from SAG once that I looked at it, and it was for something I didn't work in.
Yeah.
So I called SAG, and there was another Larry Brown, and his Social Security number was 1 digit different than mine.
Really?
So.
Really?
Yeah. So that was the guy. The guy I'm talking to on the phone, he goes, "What's your social?" And he looked at it, and he goes, "Oh my God, it's off by 1 digit." What are the odds of that?
Wait a minute, but his name was Larry Brown, and it was off by 1 digit. What are the chances? What are the chances of that?
I know.
You've blown all chances of winning the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes now because all coincidence has flown out the window on that one. Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm amazed that I haven't had that much problem that way. Occasionally, Gary will send me my monthly stuff that I put on like my credit card, and he said, "Do you know this particular item?" And yeah, it turns out it was an item, something I bought online or something I had to pay a subscription to or something like that. And very seldom is it ever a problem. Most of the time I can identify it. But, he lets me know when there seems to be an impropriety on my credit card. But I haven't had that trouble in a while because I have the best password going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, password 123. So... it's funny, but I would probably start using password 123 because that's the last thing somebody would try thinking that can't be it.
Well, wasn't that what the Experian was using when they got hacked? It was something similar to that.
Probably. Well, you know what it is? What I don't like about having to have a password online is that they go, you put in, okay, here, what's your email address, and what is your password going to be? And I put in something like password 123, and then they go, you've used that before, or you can't use that. You need a uppercase and you need a numeral, or whatever. And I'm going, you shouldn't give a shit about what I want as a password. The only person who should care about it is me. And if I want something simple, like hello, all right, then I'm going to do something simple. And if somebody breaks into my account, well, it's my fault. But no, don't tell me it must be 10 letters or more, and it's got to have an uppercase, and it's got to have numerals, and it's got got to have a character like an asterisk or whatever. Bullshit. Let me take the chance. Just like I felt about airplanes. Let me have a choice of 2 flights. Either the really secure flight where I go through the TSA and they check my bags and they check everything and they give me a rectal probe and all of that, or I'll take my chances flight where you just walk down the terminal to the gate, get on the plane, and if it blows up, so be it. I took my chances.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah. I mean, come on. How safe do we want to be on everything? So to ask me to do these things with passwords, hey, let me take. I had one password I used for 20 years, okay? And then all of a sudden they started making it harder, and now I've had to adapt that password, and then sometimes I use one password, and sometimes I use another, and now I have to have a password thing that I pay for once a year, so that I don't have to remember it. It just puts it into everything most of the time. But it's just...
But you've never been hacked.
Have I ever been hacked? Not really. No. And you would think the accounts that they would hack the most would be like my YouTube account, my my iTunes account, and Apple, things like that. No, never. But Apple's the one that, if you want to change your password and you change it to a password you had once before, they won't let you do it. So you have to keep coming up with new passwords. I mean, I wish I could come up with a long password that's easy for me to remember. I got it. Bennett Schwarzman.
Oh
no, there's no...
Just do a retinal scan.
Well, we should be able to do that online. We should be able, when I'm using my Apple Wallet, right, and paying for something, all I have to do is look at my iPhone. And,
really?
and it says, okay, that's you. You're good to go here, But the trouble is, where I'm running into a problem now, is face masks. They don't seem to like face masks much.
No.
Apple has a thing against face masks. So that's my biggest problem is face masks. So then I have to take the face mask down, or I have to put in my password. So it's just a pain in the ass. Is what it is.
Should be an easier way to do things.
Well, wait, what do you know from passwords? You don't have a computer. Do you sign on to stuff?
I have to use passwords for my email, yeah.
Yeah, okay. How slow does that take for you to get?
That's pretty slow.
When are you going to get a high-speed line in your house?
I'm looking, actually, I was going to ask you, because I think Comcast has a pretty good deal right now. So
yeah,
how much hell will somebody have to come in here and drill holes and shit?
No, let's see here. What you need is you need a line coming into your apartment.
Mm-hmm.
That's very simple for them to do. They just put it in there, and they plug a modem in there, and they'll do the whole thing for you. You wouldn't have to do anything. They'll bring the modem, they'll plug it in, they'll get it working, and you'll also have Wi-Fi with it too if you want it.
What will I do with that?
Well, that you can get online. You can use your internet account without having to have a wire. Yeah, it just does it wirelessly.
But it's not as secure, right?
It's not as secure, but I wouldn't worry about it. I've never had anybody hack my Wi-Fi. But I think you'll be okay. But go get it.
Oh, I got to get this done. It's so slow. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. What kind of computer do you have?
It's a HP with Windows XP.
Oh God!
I can't even go to many sites now because I'm on XP.
Oh jeez, we got to get you in. We got to get you into the 19th century. Jesus.
I know.
Wow. You're amazing.
I'm about as well. The California DMV is using computers from the 70s.
Okay, all right. Well, then you should be able to talk to them.
Yeah, I should.
Are they really still using computers from then? Doesn't seem to make much sense.
California is using from the set. They had to, because of this unemployment too. So they had to find guys that worked for California in the 70s to come in and help them with these computers because they're getting such a surge of applications.
Yeah.
But it's some really old computer language they use, COBOL or COBA, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, COBOL. Yeah. Ah, wow.
But California, this is the birthplace of that crap. We should have the best computers in the world.
people at Apple should be so pissed at having to wait in line at the DMV for long times that they should have said, we'll do it for you.
Yeah.
We'll rewrite all this stuff for you. And they could probably do it in a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I just looked at the clock.
Time's flown by.
Well, there's this little hand that goes second by second, and I find that we now have 20 seconds left. But anything you want to say, Larry, or are you just happy with having said enough?
I've said enough. I was hoping this virus would be over, but I think you're right. We're in for another 9 months or something.
Yeah. Well, we only had how many deaths we had in we're running over here, but how many deaths we had in New York on Sunday?
I thought it was near zero.
It was zero. It was zero. It was 10 for the whole state. So
and before you were having like hundreds a day, right?
Oh God, we had 800 people dying a day here.
Jesus.
Yeah. Anyway, Larry Bubbles Brown. We'll talk to you next week.
On that happy note.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
Bye, Larry.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Bop. Okay. All right. Little stalling there because I pushed the thing and it didn't play it. So there, we had that, and then I pushed that. Oh, and then nothing's playing on that. Even it's playing, but it's not working. Oh well. I know why. I bet you I know why. Let me just play here for a second. Oh, that's the reason why. Okay. Because I didn't have the slider up. See, they're supposed to go.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
That's what I wanted you to hear. Yeah. Anyway, how y'all doing, folks? How you doing? Good to see you. Am I bright enough tonight? I guess that looks okay. Let me see here. I constantly am trying to tweak things here on the show, and then I do them, but I sometimes don't do them enough. There we go. Let me give it a little more. There we go. Okay. Hello. Yes. All right. Now we look good. Okay. Now, see, unless you're watching us, you don't know what we're doing. If you listen to the audio version, you're going, what's he talking about? What's he doing? What's going on here? I don't know. I heard Larry. I didn't have to see him. Anyway, we're probably never going to let you see Larry, I would imagine, because Larry is he refuses to get into the 21st century. Okay, and he doesn't have any way we can show him with video. If he just, I've offered him a cell phone, for crying out loud. Anyway, let me see here. There's some people who want in right now. Robert Natali is wanting to get in, as Howard Wallace, as is Howard in Hawaii. Okay, there we go. That's a beginning. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Good evening.
Very well.
Yeah, there they go. Here comes Phil Meyer. He's jumping in. Yippee fuck. There we go.
And here's Phil.
And there's Phil. And let me just go over to our Zoom, because if nobody just wants to look at me, So, how are you all doing?
Good.
I'm pretty good.
How about you,
Alive
Robert?
and well.
Robert, good to see you for the second night in a row.
Thank you.
You were a terrific
And
guest.
third day.
Yeah.
Third day, yeah, because he did our little Monday get-together in the afternoons. But don't tell Phil about it, because then he'll call that show. Yeah.
Nah, no time. I actually work for a living.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you do. I wish you worked late. Anyway.
I can.
What?
I can work late. I come home after a 14-hour day. I get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Do you really? Well, you have to go get your cancer treatment thing.
Right, and I've got to prep for that cancer treatment. Yeah. So the cancer treatment's at 7:30. It takes me about 25 minutes to get there, and the rest of the time is all prep.
This is listed here now as guilt. What is it? Guiltified 12 Galaxies. I'm just going to call you by these names now, you know.
I'm guiltified.
Because I'm not very good at remembering names, and so I was so happy when all of a sudden I had all these names that come up when we're doing our show. See, folks, those names. Anyway, hello to you. What is that again? Guiltified.
Guiltified 12 Galaxies.
Oh.
What did your
I've
mom
seen that guy walking around San Francisco for like 20 years with the sign. The signs always change, but it's something to do with 12 Galaxies, Guiltified, and there's all. It doesn't ever makes any sense.
Yeah. Hello there, Rob.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Look at that professional broadcast organization he has there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm
All form and no substance.
I'm all jealous. I'm jealous. How much those monitors cost you?
What monitors? These?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these cheap things.
I thought you meant, I was thinking like the audio monitors.
Did you have them already?
Yeah, the only thing I really did was this, and I bought a mic processor, and I bought a composer for post-processing, and well, I bought a bunch of odds and ends
Tell
stuff.
them where they can find your little station, okay?
You can, it's tough to find because I don't have a website anymore.
Why is that?
Because they wanted too much money and it wasn't worth it.
Well, wait a minute.
So
how much money did they want?
I don't remember. It was through the company. What's the name of that? Daddio or something? GoDaddy?
I use GoDaddy.
Yeah, they want to. It's like, I'm not paying that much money.
Mine went up to $145 a year now.
That's not bad. A year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, the hell with it.
I just got the latest bill for it. Yeah.
So I'm using Facebook as like a home page, and there's really not much on there because I am bad at social media. But I'm also listed on radio.net, the app. If you go to radio.net, there's an app, and the radio station is called Retro Rocks, one word.
Yeah.
And you can listen to it on the app.
Well, also, I mean, we should talk about it, but maybe I can just put it on my GabNet page, just so that there's another place for people to listen to you. Because if I'm simply doing a link to somebody, it doesn't matter whether I'm paying for the music or not.
That's true. You're not the.
No, you're not. I'm not the host. You are.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that how it works? Yeah.
Yeah. If let's say I put a link to something, that I don't have to pay for the link, because the link is out there. But I do have to pay for it if I am originating it. In other words, if I were to start playing music here, and I do pay for certain music that we play here, which is the
production music.
The production music, and that costs me now. That's gotten pretty pricey. It's gotten up to about $200 a year.
I bet you.
So I got to get you to do new promos for me, just so we can pay for the make it worthwhile having all that music available.
Where you run into trouble is with YouTube, because
YouTube is a pain in the ass.
But if you took the show and then you posted it to YouTube, you'd have a problem.
Well, if I did it on my account, okay. Here's the thing. The other day, I ran a promo here for COVID-19, and it's a great spot done by the state of New York, saying "Mask Up America" with Morgan Freeman. And I ran it because it's a public service announcement, right, Rob? That should be completely in public domain, right? And if it isn't, they should be very happy I'm playing it.
Yes.
Right? I get a thing saying, sorry, we can't monetize it because the music is in copyright. Now, wait a minute. To begin with,
you could probably fight that.
I could fight it, and I would probably win, and they would probably let that show be monetized, but the next time I ran that thing, they'd do the same thing, and I'd have to write them another letter. And then after that time, another letter.
Wasn't that music was licensed by the state of New York or whomever produced that COVID
that's correct.
spot.
That's correct. But
you're just playing it as a public service message from the advertising.
Yeah, but what they've got... what their problem is, they've got a machine there that just listens, and if it hears something that they think is in copyright, they automatically ding you like that.
That's right.
And then you have to protest it, say that you don't own the music, but you have the right to play it. It's in this case, it was what's called fair usage. But you know,
I don't even know that it's that. It's out there. I mean, even back as far as college radio when we didn't have commercials.
My argument would be it's already been paid for.
Yeah, they're just public service announcements that the states put out in conjunction with the Advertising Bureau.
And if they use music, it's their responsibility, not ours. But you see, I have to explain that every time to YouTube,
so
and it's a pain in the ass. So I haven't, I could do it again. And then I would write them a letter and blah, 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 blah. I did write the ad console and ask them about it because they're the ones that release it to the public in general. And I never got a reply. So,
do you, if you have too many of these with YouTube, do they put you on a list of troublemakers?
No, there are things that will get you a major copyright ding, and then other things like this that don't count against you. In fact, they write you and say this is not counted against you. It's just you can't monetize it.
But if it was a thing that they count against you, that would eventually lead to being banned.
Yeah, probably. But I've never had that happen. I've had quite a few dings that way where I've used music and whatever, but it's never. They've always said, "Don't worry, this isn't counting against your account or whatever." So,
Alex, here comes. Pay for your opening theme song?
Do I pay for that? Is part of the package that I buy.
Right. I see.
Yeah, you're talking about. I don't know. The closing theme we have here, which is this. That's out of a production package that I buy. Yeah. So, and so's the theme song for the show. So,
how many songs are in a package?
Oh, they have. Well, how many would you say? Thousands?
Yeah, that's sound effects and whooshes and production elements. It's a whole website.
Yeah, and I pay I think I'm paying about $150 a year for that. And I pay another $150 a year for the video stuff.
Wow, you
video
package.
You
really go for your lungs, don't you?
That's the same company that does the audio and the video. Right?
Yeah.
Well, but they do it as two separate packages. You don't buy it as one complete package. So, what the hell,
I thought I remembered years ago being in a high school production and being told that because there wasn't a profit being made, that there wasn't any need.
Well, that was the old days, and this is the new days.
It's changed
before the internet.
Is that
really?
Well,
before the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which
I see.
That's what did it, But
radio stations actually did it because they started simulcasting on the internet, and everybody started saying, "Wait a minute, they're playing our music," and talent was saying, "Wait, they're playing our spots, and we're not getting paid." And
I see.
Everything had to be renegotiated at that point. But the thing is that really, if you're paying for the music to be on your radio station and then you're simulcasting it on a website, you shouldn't have to pay a second time for it because well, let me put it this way, Rob. If you were an AM station and you were simulcasting onto FM, would you have to pay a second time? No.
It's a different medium completely, though. One is the internet.
I claim it's the same medium. I mean, because it's coming from the same source. It's not like you're changing it for the internet.
But you're broadcasting it in a different place, and the internet it's digital. That's the digital part of it, right? That doesn't cover the over-the-air part. I know because I've been doing a lot of research into, starting. I'm not doing it yet. I have to get all my music put in. You have to.
I would love to be able to pay for the right to play music with a non-commercial license and whatever. But it is it's $500 flat. Yeah. But it is so complicated, the things you have to do in order to do it. You have to list every song, everything. You have to
tell the album it's on. You have to give the label.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's all this research to go in and set it up. so that when you print the reports of what you record, of what you've played, then you can't play the same artist back to back. You have to separate by an hour or something like that. A minimum.
At Sirius, this will give you an example, but they're not playing the same song in a period of time, same artist in the period of time. Sirius you could never play the same artist 3 songs in a row. You could only play 2 in a row for that hour. All right, so they come up with the Sinatra channel. Imagine they could only play Sinatra twice an hour. You know,
it's called Sinatra and Friends.
Yeah, so that's how stupid those rules are. I think there are a lot of people.
Wait a minute, the Billy Joel channel played all Billy Joel.
They have a Springsteen.
Well, they may have gotten his permission to do it.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's probably why. Because he was involved in the channel.
There was a time where you could play older records, but yes, the fluorescent Lee Chinetti,
you couldn't anymore. It was everything prior to, I forget what it was,
1972 or something
like that. Yeah,
and
that
he got sued. The group, the fluorescent Lee Chinetti, which is one of the Turtles, right?
It's Flo and Eddie.
Flo and Eddie.
And that lawsuit then gave them monetization for prior to 72.
Well,
right?
they sued as individuals, I think, about Happy Together, which was a Turtles song they did.
Yeah.
And they weren't getting any money for it, and they felt they should. And, but there was a time, I can't even go back and play stuff from the 30s.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah,
the 30s?
It used to be there was kind of a cutoff date.
There's no public domain? No. There is in movies, right? That's the old movies used to see on the
public domain doesn't exist
in literature.
Public domain, I think, does not exist any longer.
Wow.
In the way we knew it. It does exist if it was never copywritten in the first place. I'll give you an example, very interesting public domain thing. The first 19 episodes of Star Trek, they failed to copyright.
Wow.
So that's why you saw so many versions of it coming out on tapes. Some of them were a little blurry and they were taken off TV and things like that. But that's what that was all about. The only thing was, they finally decided, well, we think we found a caveat that would prevent them from stealing the shows. And what they did is they said, the music's in copyright.
Hey, Alex, what type of program do you use to copyright your shows? They're not copyrighted. They're put into a free where it can be shared. What is that? What is that? What's his name? Plotkin and Lawrence Lessing put that thing together where things could be used in it's copyrighted, but it's not copyrighted. Well, you do this with the show.
Yeah, it's common.
Not common cause.
Something I can't remember. There are two ways I can place this on YouTube, and I can't remember what the two ways are right now, and I'm not about ready to go into my programs and figure it out.
You interviewed Hal Plotkin, and he was instrumental in setting that up.
Mm-hmm. Well, be that as it may, it's all a pain in the ass. I don't care if anybody steals this shit, I do care if somebody uses my likeness or my programs to make a buck, however. And then I'm very funny about that.
So I can run your programs on Sunday night as public affairs.
I'll give you a good example.
On Retro Rock.
My interviews with John and Yoko a few years back, I read that a auction house in England was going to be auctioning off tapes of a rare interview of John and Yoko. And when they described it, it turned out it was the interview I was doing, and what they were auditioning off were two 7.5-inch reels, when I had sitting in my closet 10.5-inch reels of the show, of those shows, the masters. And I got a hold of them, and they said they were going to get $300,000 for it. And I said, wow. I don't know what you think you're selling, but I've got the originals sitting here, I said, that's for starters. Secondly, you don't have a release from me, so my performance isn't releasable. So if you sell this to people, what are they going to do with the tapes? Find a machine and play them for themselves? No, they want to buy them so they can use them, right?
Aren't they actually owned by ABC?
No, because ABC never copywrote them.
So it's like a record. So I couldn't have a record of Let It Be, not the original, but just an album, and then sell it.
It's not a record.
I know it's not a record, but think of it. As,
no. How I'm holding the copyright on that is nobody has a release on my performance.
Right. But
okay.
Let's say I went and bought a vinyl record. And I know yours is not a vinyl record, but let's say I bought a vinyl record and I sold it at auction because it was a rare record. Would I have to have releases for that?
No, because you're selling it privately from yourself to somebody else. You're reselling something you already bought. It may be worth more now because it's rare, but it's yours. You own it.
That's not the same situation.
You're not selling, but you're not selling the rights to that other person to take that performance and duplicate it and use it somewhere.
Okay, so yours had supposed rights along with it.
The only rights that existed on the John and Yoko interviews was the fact that I'm on it and they don't have a release to use me. Okay, they could probably auction off the tapes. But that wouldn't make any difference. So I wrote them and I told them.
How about if they cut it up
and then to really screw them over, I took the John and Yoko interview and I put it up on the internet. And I told everybody, they're trying to get $300,000 for this. It's free. And by the way, if you want to, download it.
Yeah.
You know, and I just...
What happens if they cut you out and just use the sound bites of John and Yoko?
There'd be nothing to hear because I'm so integral to the discussion, you know, because when I do an interview, it's not really an interview, it's a conversation.
Yeah, it's a conversation.
Yeah. And it would be very difficult to do that. And, they could, you know, but so what happened was about a week later, there was an item in the paper that this auction house has pulled the John and Yoko interviews off of being auctioned out, and they were never auctioned again. Okay, so, and they didn't even have the original masters on that. This was like, I think what it was, I may be mistaken, but we made up some 7.5-inch copies, I think, for John and Yoko to have copies. And that somehow may have slipped out through somebody who worked for them or whatever, and that's how it was getting sold, you know. But it wasn't
copyrights. There was a rumor that I've seen in about 2 or 3 different places, so I can't say for a fact that it's true, but it makes for a good story nonetheless. The Washington Redskins, you know, the big flap with changing the team name because of the, the slur and so forth.
Right.
Well, what they did was they were polling fans and asking them what logical team names could be, and somebody found out what the top 10 responses were and ran out and copyrighted those.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah.
But
he also had a caveat to that, saying that he did that to protect those names, and whatever one that Dan Snyder wanted, he could have free.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's a different
He did
twist.
that to stop people from trying to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
but Rob,
he's a big fan, and that's why he did it. That's what he said.
I suggested the Washington Woo-Woos.
Yeah.
But
by the way, as of tonight,
they're the Washington football team. Yeah. Which told me maybe that rumor was true, and they were afraid to have to pay the guy. But if you say otherwise,
that's what I heard on Sports Talk.
Why don't they do what Prince did and just call them the team formerly known as the Redskins?
Formerly known as the Redskins. Yeah. Somebody mentioned that.
That thing, Hal's thing is called Creative Commons.
Yeah.
Creative Commons.
Yeah.
And what does that mean, Phil?
He established a thing where you could put intellectual property into register it with this Creative Commons, and then it could be used free for like universities if you had a book.
I see.
And,
I think I use Creative Commons if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, too. I noticed it. You did.
I mean, I can use the other one, which is just a straight copyright, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe I should do that. I don't know. I don't
every
care.
program?
Huh?
You have to do every program?
No, it's just when you put them up there. You know, the only thing about let me tell you about copyright. You say, what do you have to do in order to, what do you think you have to do in order to copyright?
You put the symbol and it says copyright.
You got to mail a letter, right? You got to mail something to the copyright office.
Not sure.
Well, you're pretty much, Phil was a little closer. All you have to do is say copyright in the year.
Yeah.
Okay? Copyright by, and then the year. That's all you have to do. You can copyright it through the Copyright Office, but you don't have to. Just by saying copyright, you're holding the copyright in place.
You can also put it in your metadata, so it's buried in it's not shown as copyright.
But that's not important. What I'm saying is that
That's how you
it's simply by me saying, hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this show is copyright by Alex Bennett, 2020. All right? Now it's automatically copywritten because the copyright is being held in place by the fact that, in fact, you cannot copyright anything without first putting the copyright notice on the thing that you're trying to copyright. Then you can copyright it.
See, in my camera, I'm able to set up a copyright, so that's
we don't care about your camera.
And then I could give certain kinds of
we don't care about your camera.
Does your logo have a copyright on it?
Huh?
Does GabNet have a copyright on it? The logo?
No, it has trademark.
Trademark.
TM. That's another thing. You put
anything
TM there and it holds it in place. But if you look at GabNet, let me see here. Do I have it anywhere here? Usually I put a TM next to it.
Jeff's got an
Yeah,
attorney.
yeah. If you look when it says, all you have to do is once. Hold on a second. Once on the page, all you have to do. Let me show people here. All you have to do on a page is you only have to do it once on a page. If people look here, here's my GabNet page. All right. Nothing says copyright, trademark. Until you go up here and it says GabNet on demand, and the GabNet has a TM. And that holds it in place. They don't like you doing it like every time you mention GabNet. You just only have to do it once on the page. So, therefore, it is trademark. Yeah.
Jeff,
so
Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, my understanding of how to use a PM and to apply for a patent.
Mm-hmm.
The PM is just really a temporary thing.
Well, TM, though this is trademark. There's a difference between trademark and
Yes.
patent. Patent is something you have to have in order to put your intellectual property, on hold.
The government.
But you can get what I call temporary application.
Mm-hmm.
But until it really gets accepted and certified and paid for the government,
Yeah.
okay, I forget how much it is, whether it's $150 or $75. But until it's paid, you really don't have much to prove anything.
Well, by the way, who's not here tonight is Brian. First night, I think, in maybe all the time that we've had him on. Hope he's okay. Hope everything's fine.
I'll check them.
Yeah.
So back to copywriting.
Because I was going to write that I'm thinking of copywriting the name Remdesivir.
There you go.
And, yeah.
So you plaster copyright on it, but what's to say you haven't plagiarized it?
Well, that's true.
There's nothing to say I haven't
you may have done
plagiarized
that.
it,
Okay.
but someone else can
Other
sue.
people have applied for the same thing.
But I mean,
Right, I see.
Look, I mean, the biggest plagiarist in America is Donald Trump. Where did he get "Make America Great" from?
Where did he get that from?
Ronald Reagan.
Oh,
Where does Biden get his speeches? From English.
Phil, we didn't ask that.
Doesn't matter. I'm just giving you another plagiarizer.
He has a lady who went to high school. She could write it.
Yeah.
How he does.
Yeah.
I know, just to make it easy so you can read it.
So everybody, I'm glad you now know how things go with copyright. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Hey, Alex, what's new with Donald Trump?
What's with Donald Trump? Yeah.
Hey, there's no more Florida convention.
Yeah, you know why, don't you?
What?
Said it wasn't going to be safe. And
who said it wasn't going to be
Everybody
safe?
died.
Trump said.
Really?
Nobody was
I'll
gonna
bet
show
you
up.
any amount of money you got, it's because the people in Florida said, quite frankly, we don't think it's safe to have it here. So
Well,
you
he
better
said
find
that-
somewhere else to have it. And he went back to what, Charlotte or wherever that was?
He said the Charlotte thing's going to be very small.
No,
He said
but
that-
I'm saying he's acting like he came up with the idea. But I think it was the people down in Florida going, I'm sorry, it's unsafe. And considering what's going on right now, and he had to agree to it.
He said cases are up, and he doesn't want anybody to.
Oh, yeah, right. He didn't care about it in Oklahoma City, did he? Tulsa, rather? He didn't care. He didn't give a shit.
He cares.
He didn't care, Phil. He was being told by doctors and by everybody.
That was a good one,
Don't
Phil.
do it. Don't do it in Tulsa.
It's the warm and fuzzy, It's the new Trump.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
How many days is it going to take him to come out and say that it was his idea to wear masks? Nobody was thinking about that before him.
It is. It is his idea.
Yeah.
It struck me that it's not safe to have the convention, but let's go back to school.
Let's go back to school. That's safe. And by the way, it was safe to hold that one in Tulsa. He, in spite of the fact, and the one in front of the, what do you call it, in front of
The church.
the monument,
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. It was okay to do it there, but no, I've decided that it isn't healthy to do it in Florida. Okay, good for you, Donald. Boy, I'm glad you're on the team.
What they're saying is that the schools, that there's such a low rate of virus amongst people under 18, and that other schools around the world have already reopened, and they're not having.
Well,
So
that's
let's
not
see. In the last high school I taught in, there were 100+ adults, either instructional or non-instructional.
By the way, Charlie has his hand up. Charlie has his hand up. Charlie.
Yeah, I just want to say this first. You heard it here first. The only reason why there has been low spread of COVID among kids is because the damn schools were closed.
That's
now
correct.
they open up the schools and the kids are going to be congregating together. You watch it skyrocket.
Yeah, they're human beings.
Yeah, I want to
It's
know
not
where
like
you
they
where
have
you
a
get-
better system.
where you got this number, Phil, from a bunch of people who weren't sending their kids to school this time of year.
Well, these are European schools where kids.
Schools are open
They
right now
handled
in
it
Europe.
very different than us.
Yeah, Europeans
You can't
actually
compare
did
that.
bring the numbers
Different
down.
Also, I think there was less than 30 cases of COVID amongst kids under 18, but there's usually thousands of cases of influenza from
Phil,
kids.
we're not talking about influenza.
They're comparing it, and they're saying
You
that
can't
it's-
compare it to influenza, Phil. And the fact is that in Europe right now, their transmission rate is almost down to zero because they took the proper steps to nip this thing in the bud. And so those kids are going to have a lower rate just simply because, they probably should send their kids back to school because they're not infected. But this country is like this massive petri dish, for crying out loud.
My money's on the Northwestern Wildcat, Charlie Wallace.
You know what's funny about the New York Times is just reporting that as Trump calls for schools to fully reopen, his son's school says it will not.
Yep, of course.
Donald's gonna get all mad and take his son out and put him into another school.
Yeah, you should put him in a public school. Just
Yeah.
shove him right in there. Let him.
Charter school.
It's just like we don't need to get tested, but everybody around Trump gets tested every day.
Yeah. And they get their results fast.
Yeah, they get it like in 2 hours.
We're still waiting for Betsy DeVos to actually finally set foot in a public school.
Yeah.
That would be
She's
nice.
never been in one.
Really?
Let me ask you a question, Alex.
Yeah.
And Robert and the other guys. How insulated do you think Trump is if you want to get to him to talk to him? Like, how many people have to be tested? Is it almost impossible to get?
Oh, I don't think you could get in to see him if you didn't have a test, and have a recent one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
And I bet you his kids the same. They're probably nowhere near to be found.
He keeps talking about Biden being in the basement, which is not true. Biden was in the basement for a couple of months when this thing was at its height, and he's an older guy and he didn't want to get it, just like I didn't leave the house here. But he leaves the basement now a lot, okay? Yet Trump never leaves the White House, never, makes that a sure thing. I'm sure he's probably down in the basement too, and only comes out to give these speeches with, I saw a page of one of his speeches, double space, big print, and only half the page taken up with the writing on the speech.
Like my mother's.
Well, and then, as he's reading it, his finger is down there, going, I'm surprised, it's amazing.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Oh, man. The man's a moron. He's a fucking moron.
Hey, Robert, what did you teach?
First part of my career was 15 years of teaching social studies. Then I got booted upstairs to be in charge of student data, computerization of student data, because I was one of the few people in my district that knew how to turn on a computer. This is back in 1988. And then I had a parallel career where for 38 years, I just retired lately. I was a professional gambler, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I successful.
Atlantic City or Las Vegas?
No. Mostly the last few years at home, I only bet thoroughbred horse racing.
Really?
I taught seminars. I belonged to a group that many of us did it professionally. For a time, I took a leave from my school district and did that full time. The reason I went back is because of children and needing benefits and so on. And it was easier for me to do both. But yeah, I bet thoroughbred horse races. I only gave up this year because after 38 years.
Well, if you go back to school now, you could have the best of both worlds, because you can point out a kid and say, I'll bet that kid's going to be dead from COVID in 5 months.
Oh, what's the odds around it?
The jokes abounded back then.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of sending kids to school at this point is still, I think, wrong. I mean, because kids, by the basic socialization, cannot maintain a social distance. That's just not in the DNA of being a kid. And yes, it would be wonderful to be able to send them back. But first, you better clean up your states, and you better clean up the country. And we better get ourselves a vaccination, which, by the way, the president acts like, he's inventing the vaccination and that America has come up with a vaccination. It's Oxford that's come up with the vaccination, and second in line, I can't remember who's second in line, but third in line is China.
Yeah.
Well, Pfizer's got one that they're working
No,
on.
Pfizer's not working on one. They are simply making the Oxford version. Am I right, Jeff? Am I right?
Yeah, Pfizer has got a great part of this, and that is they have the expertise and the equipment to manufacture many of these drugs. These other companies who are developing them are small little startup companies.
Labs.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of engineers and chemists working
And
there.
Oxford in England is the one coming out what they consider the prime candidate right now. And
I think Pfizer's got to do
and
it.
am I right? I think the other country, one of the other two countries is China. And God forbid, ladies and gentlemen, that China should come up with the COVID vaccine, because you think they're going to sell it to the United States with what's been going on? They'll tell you to shove it up your ass.
No, they'll just charge a shit ton.
Yeah.
They'll sell it to the U.S. because their money is green.
Yeah. They might have been willing to help us, but not now. Not because of the great diplomacy our president involves himself in.
I'm curious, Robert. Now, did you ever read the Racing Form?
What? You're changing the subject.
You know who
You're
Herb
changing the
Goldstein is?
subject, Phil.
No.
You're changing the subject. Phil.
I'm sorry, what'd he do?
He was a syndicated writer for the Form. He had the back page.
I can
I didn't
mute
honestly read. I never read the articles in the Form, ever.
All right.
Phil, do you mind? We were talking about something else.
Yeah, well, I was interested in his career.
I know, but one thing at a time.
He's going to ask for a tip later.
Ramble.
Does he run better on? Is it? Well, I'm not going to talk
A
about
mutter or
Yeah, doesn't it? Usually, my uncle owned horses out in Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll change it from the Ramble to the Mutter, okay?
Probably betting on a dog.
God, people who take the name of this show seriously. Did you get a hold of Brian, or was he available?
No answer.
No,
He might be watching the baseball game.
He might be working or something.
yeah, the baseball games on the Giants
right.
and the Dodgers, and the Yankees won tonight. They beat the Nationals.
Now you watched the game, right?
I did.
Because you are are you a Yankees fan?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, no crowd. But were they running the sound effects?
Yes.
Yes.
How did that feel?
You know, it
Cheesy.
feels normal. Yeah, but it feels, because it would be vapid if you were sitting there. Well, tonight there was an ESPN game, and the announcers, A-Rod and Matt Vasgersian, were sitting in the studio in Bristol, Connecticut, doing the game. They were not at the ballpark.
They don't need to be, do they?
Well,
really.
normally they are.
Yeah.
They're only seeing one monitor. They don't have all the cameras. They don't have the live view in front of them.
You know what I did, Rob, when I watched the game? I can't stand A-Rod. I muted the TV and I synced up the radio to hear Sterling.
I've done that. I do that during the playoffs.
But did they? How did you feel about the laugh track? I don't know what you would call it.
You know, I think it's better that, because at least you hear something. Otherwise, you're going to hear nothing, and I think it makes it feel more normal. Even though you know that, like, when the away team strikes out, they raise the volume, right? So you hear, everybody cheers a little bit, right?
How'd you feel about not seeing anybody in the stands?
Oh, the Giants. I mean, the Dodgers have the whole back with fake cutouts of people. It's bizarre looking to me. I don't
And
like
what happens
that.
when they cheered? Are there people in back of them making them go up and down?
Yeah, that would be funny if they had people with like wood, and they were making them go up and down.
What did I hear, that they were changing the colors of the people? They had like lights or something. They were able to change them up, or
at Dodger Stadium?
No, I don't know which stadium it was, but the cardboard cutouts, they were able to change them up, and then also they had sounds of people leaving, during the seventh inning.
I didn't hear that.
At Citi
But
Field
everybody-
for the Mets, they have cutouts, but you pay for them.
Right. It's for
So
charity.
what they're doing is raising money for charity, which isn't a bad idea.
Yeah.
You pay so much to have your cutout
In your bed.
seat.
That's really bizarre. I saw cutouts tonight at Dodger Stadium with people with masks on.
Yeah, right, exactly. I saw that as well.
Now, did they change the name as Shea Stadium? Is that why it's called City?
It's a different
They knocked
field
it down.
altogether.
Yeah, City
Shea
yeah.
is no longer.
Yeah, Citi Field is
So the
Mets
the opening ceremonies tonight, the players all got around the field. They introduce everybody, like, and there's people in the crowd. So your Washington Nationals, and they introduce everybody, and then the players, when they all got out on the field, and I guess they're doing this league wide because they took this black crepe, I guess, material, and they had like go around the diamond, and then all the players picked it up and held it. I guess and there's a whole thing about Black Lives Matters, and there's a logo on everybody's mound, the BLM, I guess it is, right? And then they do the national anthem, and players like Mookie Betts took a knee tonight, and his two new teammates white guys put their arms on his shoulders, and it was very, they had a video that was produced about Black Lives Matters. It was very political. The Open was very different from, you go to a baseball game. It's just odd to me. The world has changed, and you go to a baseball game. One of the things that hit me immediately, and I know I'm going to get, if I was saying this on like network television, is that, damn, I can't get away from this anywhere. I've been waiting for baseball. I want to see baseball, and I can't forget. I can't just have this 3 hours where all I think about is baseball.
Yeah, I wanted to hear baseball stories and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, they interviewed Aaron Boone in the pregame show. He didn't talk about baseball.
Yeah, I don't like that. I want
He
to watch.
talked about what's going on politically, and
I in a way, I think a lot of the emphasis has been on Black Lives Matter. But there are a lot of other people who have also been put upon. I mean, how about the Hispanics in this country?
Yeah.
How about the Asians in this country? The Asians have kept their mouths shut for years, and they were portrayed. If anybody was portrayed as servants and coolies and everything else in movies, it was the Asians. I just think that we need to broaden the whole thing. I got to tell you today.
But we'll never stop talking. Then
here's what
we'll never. You're not going to enjoy anything anymore. There's no more this is national pastime.
Well,
you're supposed to go to a game or watch a game with a beer, and you're supposed to forget about life for a few minutes.
Yeah, and hopefully you're there with people of all races and creeds, and you're all enjoying the same thing together. Yeah, the thing is, today, I get back to what I said a couple of days ago. Today I went down the street, because it was my weekly trek to Popeyes, okay? And I went down there, and I went down 16th Avenue, and I've got to tell you that between my street and Malcolm X Boulevard, the next street down, okay, I think if 5% of the people were wearing masks, I'd be amazed. Maybe it was 10%. Okay, I'll give them that. And I'm going back to what I said earlier. Yes, Black Lives Matter. So wear a fucking mask.
Yeah.
Especially if you're black and you believe that Black Lives Matter. And by the way, if you believe Black Lives Matter, don't start shooting up your neighborhood. Okay. I mean, Black Lives Matter in every way, shape, and form, not just with cops hassling you. It has to do with the way everybody treats everybody else. And I just think that when I saw this, it was like I was walking down the street and I was running a gauntlet, avoiding people because they weren't wearing masks, or either that or they were wearing them as chin guards, And I'm going, come on, I believe Black Lives Matter. That's why I'm wearing the mask in my neighborhood.
Hey, Alex, have you brought your cleaning staff back to your house yet?
Oh, yeah.
The cleaning woman comes now.
She comes? Do you wear a mask, and does she wear a mask while she's in your house?
I wear a mask. Well, no, I don't wear a mask, and she doesn't wear a mask, but we keep social distanced.
Because we had her come yesterday for the first time, and I told my wife, I said, ask her if she would wear a mask, and we'll wear masks.
Well, the reason to wear a mask is if you're not able to socially distance. And I'm usually in here in the office, and she's in the bedroom cleaning. When she comes in here to clean, I go to another room, So that's what we're doing, and she's, she doesn't have it, and I don't have it, and Marjorie doesn't have it. So we're pretty safe about it, but we do keep our distance. There's no question about that, and we still do put a mask on every time somebody rings the doorbell with a package for us. Yeah. So.
Can I ask a question going back a topic?
Sure.
Why do we play the Star Spangled Banner before sporting events in the first place? Now, I don't mean not patriotic.
Right.
I mean that because it just strikes me as curious. We go to a movie, we don't play it. We go to other forms of entertainment, and we don't play it. Yeah. What's the connection between the Star Spangled Banner and a sporting event? I've never really understood.
Quite frankly, until I was until some kids were old enough to know better, they thought the last word of the Star Spangled Banner was "play ball."
Play ball.
Didn't
the military have something to do with their support for baseball, and it had something to do with that?
I think you're right, Phil. I think so.
Phil, I don't disagree. I think that there's football is a very militaristic kind of game. If you stop and think of a lot of the nomenclature,
I think
Army versus Navy.
Military had something to do with support for these.
Really?
Games. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that right,
yes.
Rob? Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it started out like
I seem to remember something.
A promotion of some kind or whatever. It's the same thing as like at Yankee Stadium they do "God Bless America" at the
Yeah, but I do agree with Robert that because I was going to say the same thing, oddly enough, and then I forgot to bring it up.
But and that's my point. Not anything against Black Lives Matters or Black Lives Matter or anything like that. But I'm going to a sporting event. I'm going or I'm watching it on television, and I'm just looking to escape. All day long, you're bombarded with this stuff. Why do they have to do it? Why does it have to permeate sports? Why can't that be?
It's PR.
Yeah.
Plain and simple,
so
it's
too.
PR. It's just
Now,
PR.
what's his name?
They really don't give a shit. But they
Colin
do.
Kaepernick
Yeah.
got fired for taking a knee during the Star Spangled Banner.
And you know
right?
something?
He would hire him,
wait a minute.
and
Is
now it's accepted.
Is he playing football again?
No.
No.
No. But
So
that's what I mean. But
don't
now
get
it's
hypocritical
acceptable.
with me and say, oh well, we here at football we're very happy to have all you people do bend the knee at the national anthem now. They're
You
all like,
people?
yeah, you people, and yet Colin Kaepernick isn't playing football again. Wouldn't that be the perfect? Hey, we were wrong, you were right. Yes, Charlie.
According to Google, the Star Spangled Banner was not sung before National Football League games until World War II.
Yeah.
They
How
did
about
it to
baseball?
honor the troops or whatever during World War II as they were fighting for the country.
How about baseball? When did they start doing it for baseball?
Oh, I'll have to ask that.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that if they really want to honor, say, Black Lives Do Matter, and hey, we honor people taking the knee now, they should also hire Kaepernick back.
I mean, he should have had
Hey, does anybody know if kids still do the Pledge of Allegiance at school?
Mm-hmm.
so.
They sure do.
They don't do that anymore?
No, they do.
Do they?
They do. And I remember when I was a kid, the the Pledge of Allegiance was different.
No under God.
No under God.
There was no under God.
That came in. That came in about the mid '50s during the McCarthy era, and it was meant to go after the communists and put in that under God. And I always found that wrong because if you don't believe in God, you shouldn't have to say it. Yes, Charlie.
Actually, the Star Spangled Banner was sung in baseball games first on May 15th, 1862.
Oh, my.
That's early.
Long before it
Wow.
was the national anthem.
Yep.
Yeah,
I didn't think that song was written until that's right. It was written.
But what it was.
That was written by Francis
There
Scott
wasn't-
Key.
Let's go back to the history of this song because then you'll say, well, maybe we should stop playing it. Francis Scott Key wrote a poem.
Yeah.
That was it. It sat around for a while, and somebody said, well, we ought to put this to music. What do we got? And there was a drinking song called Anacreon in Heaven.
That's right.
Which people sang at bars when they got really shit-faced drunk.
Shit-faced, yeah.
Right? And they said, oh, that's a good song, and they put it to that. Plus the fact there are 3 other verses we never sing.
Yeah.
You never hear it.
So it's a drinking song. And it wasn't made the national anthem till when, Charlie? Do you have that listed there?
I think it was like 1936 or something.
Something like that, yeah. Up until that point, we didn't have one.
Nope, we didn't have a national anthem.
And my
How old
argument...
is America the Beautiful?
Um,
Is it as old as those songs, or
I
does
think
that
it's
come later?
I'm trying to think. Then, of course, we had God Save the Queen.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that I always said we should do away with the Star Spangled Banner as our national anthem for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a horrible song to sing. There's a high note in there that nobody.
One of the hardest songs ever.
They used to use that as an audition piece at the New York Met, and if somebody could get through that, they could get through anything.
1931.
1931.
Huh.
Then a lot of people were like myself were saying we should really do away with it. It's bad for several reasons. Number one, it's a song about war. It's not about peace and love and hey, how wonderful our country is and so on.
Listen, I'm all for patriotism, but here's what I notice. What fosters the question is when I go to a ball game, I find I'm the only guy that's standing up respectfully and quietly. Everybody else is conducting conversations. They're scratching their balls, like they're doing all manner of things that, that just kind of water down the fact that this is supposed to be an act of patriotism, to the point where I start thinking to myself, what's the use? Like it doesn't fit somehow.
I see. Robert, I'm against what we consider prescribed versions of patriotism because they're all simply paying lip service. Anybody, if you were a communist and you were hiding out in the United States and the national anthem came on, you would stand up, put your hand over your heart and bow your head so you could pass as an American, okay? So there's nothing patriotic about that song. There's nothing patriotic about the flag. I mean, it is just simply it's our
symbols.
It's our logo. Okay, it's our logo for our country.
Symbols.
Yeah, there's our logo, Howard. Yes.
Do I have to stand up now?
But I mean, the thing is that
got a lighter?
I think a lot of these things are very jingoistic, And, you didn't stand up for the national anthem. If some guy sat there, they go, you're not standing up. Well, why? I'm an American. I believe in this country. I was in the military. I did what I had to do. I pay my taxes every year. Why do I have to stand for this stupid fucking song that is all about war, doesn't speak anything about the beauty of our country? I mean, there are a lot of other songs that we have, like America the Beautiful, that speak about how lovely our country is. And I once suggested to Pete Seeger that This Land Is Your Land would be a great national anthem.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't want to see that happen because people would be marching off to war to that song. And he said it's too pretty a song, it's too special a song to have that happen to it. And I had to agree with him, and by the way, if you've ever heard all the lyrics of This Land Is Your Land, there's some very left-wing lyrics in there. Yeah.
When I was a kid, Pete Seeger had a boat, and he used to sail up and down.
And you took a picture of it, I know.
No, he used to sail up and down the Hudson River, and
he got to ride on the boat.
They would do music on the boat, and you could hear it, on the shore. And he would, he'd go up to like Bear Mountain.
It's called The Wanderer.
Oh, his boat?
Yeah, it's called The Wanderer. Yeah.
I used to see as a kid. I mean, that was in the 60s, early 60s.
Yeah.
Mid-60s.
I thought Woody Guthrie wrote that song.
He did.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just saying Pete Seeger said to me, because Pete was close with Woody, okay? And he simply said, would you want people marching off to war to that? And I go, well, no. But, Star Spangled Banner is about bombs bursting in air and, whatever, and it's not. I don't think it's a good representation for us.
If you haven't heard the comedy routine that Albert Brooks did, the writing of the national anthem, is hysterical.
The auditions for the national anthem,
the audition of it's hysterical.
Yeah. But I mean, we had a lot of other songs. I mean, America the Beautiful is certainly a good idea of that. God Bless America I wouldn't want because the name God is in there, and I think that, hey, you want something everybody can feel comfortable with.
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah. That would be good. I like that.
There's no ethnic slurs, right? There's no religious connotation.
Work with me here. There's a Republican dog whistle there.
I hadn't thought of that. I got to listen closer.
Yeah. So anyway, the mayor of Portland got tear gassed.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I think they picked the wrong guy to tear gas.
Yeah. No tact at all.
By the secret police.
By the secret police. By Trump's Gestapo. Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, there's a great interview that you all ought to look for with a man named Chris David. He was the United States Naval Academy graduate who got a beating.
Oh, yeah.
The guy that everybody talked about. He's not 65. I don't know how that got out there. He's actually 53.
Yeah.
But what the interview revealed is that he's actually a disabled vet
God.
And he's a constitutionalist. Like, he really, in the Naval Academy, studied the Constitution carefully. And his question for those officers of whatever kind you want to call them was, you're breaking you're defeating the Constitution by being here, because I'm not in a federal place. I'm on a city street.
Yeah.
Why is it that you're doing this? And next thing you know, he started getting a beating, to the point where they broke his hand in two places. He has to have surgery, and they pepper sprayed his eyes to the point where for about 5 minutes he was blind. It's really a good interview, because if you listen to him, you'll see that the last thing on earth this guy is an anarchist. He's a dude, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, you know, it comes from their authority comes from 40 U.S. Code.
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
40 U.S.
Who gives
Code.
a shit?
15.
Who
They
gives a
have
shit?
no authority unless they're on federal land.
Look it up, Charlie. That they have the
You
authority.
look it up. They only have federal authority.
Okay, read it to us, Phil.
Too long to read.
Well, read it to us. We got time.
Read it to us.
You got 10 minutes.
In general,
Yeah, 10 minutes.
wait a minute, it's moving. We gotta,
Oh boy, you're getting to look like Trump reading a speech.
yeah, let me get down to it. Officers and agents. Designation. The Secretary may designate employees of Department of Homeland Security, including employees.
When was this written?
This was from the Cornell law.cornell.edu, Cornell Law School.
Wait a minute, but when did you say this thing was written?
What do you mean, when was it written? It's the code.
When was the code written?
In 2002. It's the Homeland
It couldn't have been, because there wasn't a Department of Homeland Security at that point.
Phil,
Right here was getting ready to start. Then that was
Phil,
right
there was
after
this thing
9/11.
written in 1787 called the Constitution. And that's
I've heard of that.
Yeah. Look, there's a Homeland Security Act of 2002. The Secretary of Homeland Security, in this section referred to as the Secretary, shall protect the buildings, grounds, property that are owned, occupied, and secured by the federal government, including any agency.
They put up a fence that protects it.
No.
They put up a fence.
Making arrest on
how is beating somebody
Getting
jackbooted
thugs to go beat people up because they want to protect the building is not what that infers.
Listen to me. You asked me a question. This talks of their powers of enforcement. This says that they can carry guns. So I sent it to you, Alex, if you want to look at it.
I should can anything you send me, Phil.
Don't
waste your time.
Up U.S. Code 1315.
Phil, let me ask you a calm question. You were involved with municipal police, am I right? From what I seem to recall. You know better than I do that the FBI, if you were to make a collar, the FBI can't just come in and usurp your jurisdiction and take the collar unless it's involving kidnapping or crimes across state lines. Like, there's certain criteria.
Yes.
Otherwise, the FBI have no jurisdiction, even if it involves murdering 3 or 4 people.
Why don't you?
I'll give you a good example. I'll give you a good example, Robert. I'll give you a good example. The FBI will not come in on a kidnapping case for 3 days.
Yeah,
and the reason for that is that they can't come into it until it's conceived that the person who kidnapped the person could have taken them over state lines.
Cross state lines, yeah.
Not to change it, Brian wrote me back. He says he's watching the game.
Okay.
And he's tuning in and out here.
Yeah.
Priorities.
So if you look up U.S. Code 1315, it'll tell you what the federal jurisdictions are that allow them to do what they did.
Well, I think it's probably going to be taken to court and put into question, Phil.
It's been around for a long time.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's been there a long time. It isn't until now that we've needed to take it to court.
Yeah, the Department of Justice Inspector General is investigating it right now.
All right, let them investigate. That's the code that gives them.
Well, they may say the code is illegal and it's not right.
Then that's unconstitutional. It could be thrown out.
Who puts that code into force? Was it passed by Congress? Was it passed by the Senate?
I think it was.
You think it was?
The code says protect federal property.
Right.
The arrests they're making, though, Phil, are on, in many cases,
And
municipal
But
streets.
they're
And
allowed
they
to
don't
make
have
those
that
arrests.
jurisdiction.
Robert, they're allowed to make those arrests according to this, and they're allowed to hold them for 30 days.
Phil, they're jackboot thugs of the President of the
Doesn't matter
United
what you
States.
call them. I'm telling you what it says. in
They
the code.
are jackboot thugs. They are doing something that is wholly illegal because they're not protecting those federal buildings, and those federal buildings, quite frankly, are still standing.
I read the whole thing, and I'm telling you that according to this code,
Good, and you
That's
read
fine.
it. Yeah,
That's fine.
sorry,
but it's shameful for this country to be doing things like that.
I understand.
is-
Just because
That
you
Navy
Phil.
vet wasn't doing anything to a federal building. He was just standing there in the fucking street, and
So-
they beat the crap out of him.
And so was the mayor of Portland. The mayor of
So-
Portland wasn't demonstrating.
So these officers will be held to task, I'm sure.
Oh no,
for the-
they won't. No, they will
Oh,
not.
no, they won't.
Well, hey, what are you, a soothsayer?
I know
For
what
one
will
thing, how do you
happen
know who the
because
fuck
Trump
they
is
are?
president of the United States, and he's the one who called these stormtroopers to come in and quell human rights and free
It wasn't
speech.
him. It was Wolf. Chad Wolf.
No,
Yeah.
at the orders
Is
of
that
Bill
Coach
Barr
Chad
and the
Wolf?
president of the United
Well, it has to
States.
be between Wolf and Bill
Would
Barr.
you agree that the buck stops at the president's office?
The president does. Oh, but I
In
agree.
the executive branch.
They're
particularly.
following the law, and as the law is written,
He's responsible what goes on under his watch. Yes, Jeff.
Right.
There are several things that are more important from one state to the other state as compared to the United States. Because those states were formed before the United States. And so they have a lot of goals and skills that these characters don't have.
So are you okay with them defacing and trying to damage and
No.
uh,
No,
he's
but
built?
Phil, I'm not. But just in the same way as I'm not okay with passing counterfeit money, but the punishment has to fit the crime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're shooting a
Pollyanna.
fly with an elephant gun.
Well-
And in fact, you're probably inciting more and more protesters to show
And by
up.
the way, they did.
Protest-
Robert, Phil, be quiet a second. Robert, what they said was, and we're almost out of time here. What they said is that the demonstrations were almost down to a small trickle. Okay,
Yeah, they were almost
until the government came in and did this stuff, and now it's turned into a whole-scale riot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have about a minute left. Phil just left. I don't know where he went. He went into
He had
the
to go
dugout.
potty.
Huh?
He went into the dugout,
He
right?
went into
Yeah, he
the
went into the
dugout.
dugout or to buy a hot dog.
Yeah.
He's taking his shirt off.
He
and,
certainly didn't social distance when he
taking
went
his
into the
name
dugout.
off.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know.
You know what
And
this guy
I've
does?
seen some
Oh,
more
here he comes in
videos,
from the
and I don't
dugout. He's
think
back.
he
He's back from the
taxes on
dugout.
it.
Everybody,
I know.
quit
Pinch
talking
hitting.
about him. Came back from
Get
the
a beer?
dugout.
The
Phil,
dugout-
you went in the dugout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you get any popcorn?
No.
Get a hot dog and a beer?
Down to the locker room there, Phil?
Some ice cream? Garlic
I
fries?
had pee.
measurements for the
In the
room.
dugout?
Yeah, I had
To the
pee.
locker room.
Yeah.
This locker room needs new rugs.
Anyway. It's just we're at war with our own country. Okay.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
and maybe that Second Amendment is a good idea, Phil. Anyway,
Here's the jackbooted thugs.
yeah. Here's the jackbooted thugs.
Where's the NRA?
You know, he doesn't mind. Phil minds riots, but when it happens to be a riot by the government, he doesn't mind it. So, yeah, whatever. Anyway, hey, listen.
Both ways.
Thank you, Robert. Jeez, I love you. You're terrific. You're wonderful. And Charlie, you are great as always. And of course, Howard is kind of our mime of the group. He's always holding up flags and doing little things, and I love having you there. Phil,
Mahalo.
thank you very
Mahalo.
much. Thanks to John Larkin, who tonight was known as what is
Well,
Gilbert Gottfried.
Notified.
Thank you.
Notified. 12 galaxies.
Rob, thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Rob. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give you a big wave back here, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Let me get rid of them here. The next show on is Jack Bishop, and he's got a thing called The Intersection, and it will be here until 1 o'clock this morning, and he'll be taking calls with the citizen panel as well, so you can join him. In the meantime, I'll see you here again tomorrow night, same time, same station in life, and in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, and stay safe. And please, especially if you're in my neighborhood, wear a mask, okay? See you tomorrow.